The third eye chakra is a powerfully magical energy center, and everyone uses their third eye. But the question is, just how magical is your partnership with your third eye? I mean, I know I would like to infuse more magic into my relationship with my third eye chakra. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips to enhance your magical partnership with your third eye chakra and to increase your manifestation prowess. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the Charmed Life YouTube channel. This channel is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, the unconditional love of the universe, and I am your host here. My name is Tricia Carr. I am a spiritual teacher, a multidimensional medium, empathic channel, and an animal telepath. I'm also a hypnotherapist, and that actually plays into this video because we're going to be talking about imagery. We're going to be talking about having an altered state, all of which is necessary to be able to magically partner with your third eye, as with all of your energy centers. But we're talking about the third eye chakra in this video, so let's get right into it. Now, the third eye chakra is all about vision. Sure, it works with your actual visual cortex of your physical sight, but we're talking about the spiritual visionary sense. So to be a visionary person, you would be engaging your third eye chakra, which is really cool to know if you want to envision your life and have the conscious envisioning manifesting of your life. And so to be a visionary person, you will be engaging in your third eye energy center. It is the center of imagery. Imagining, yes, and imagery, which we'll talk about here in a moment. It's also about seeing patterns. The third eye sees patterns and organizes those patterns into a story. So creating the story from all of the possible energy. That's what envisioning is. It's all of the possibilities, and then to be able to organize it into an intentional pattern that you are selecting for yourself. That's what the third eye does. That's how your magical relationship partnership works with your third eye. It is to be in the positive, affirmative imagery, creating the story, as opposed to doubt. And all doubt is being able to see the possible negative possibilities, That's redundant, but the possibilities that are negative. It's the overuse of the analytical mind, but the third eye positive affirmation envisioning of the story is that magical manifestation partnership that we want to be in. Now, you probably know that the third eye is associated with the color indigo blue. It is the manager of the indigo ray. Now, rays are a whole different story. It's a whole teaching. And actually, I do teach it in the Energy Intensive, which is our Light Shine Spiritual Academy program. We're doing it again this year in 2021 in the fall, so stay tuned for that. It is an amazing program. But back to the third eye. So it's associated with the indigo ray and manages that energy, that the sense of that indigo refraction of the one light. It is the position of the third eye. It's seated in the center of the brow and at about the middle of the head. But we just kind of like imagine or sense or have it when we're thinking of it. We really just connect right here in the middle of the brow. The physical manifestation of the third eye is the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is one of the glands that is working. It's also working with your hypothalamus. It's working with other parts of your brain, your cerebral cortex. And then, of course, that whole system works with all of the other major organs in your body and glands. And so as is with the organs and the systems of the body, so are the systems of your energy. So the third eye is working with the crown, is working with the throat, is working with the minor chakras that are the ear chakras, with the gut, solar plexus, heart, sacral. They're all working interdependently. So we flow one to the other. Of course, we're focusing on third eye in this one. So people usually think of the third eye, they think of clairvoyance, and it is the center that manages the pulling in of imagery or energy through creating images and having the inner seeing, the spiritual seeing. It's also key in other processes, just like those physical organs all work interdependently. It's key in other spiritual sensing processes like clairaudience, because the clairaudient, the ear chakras are seated between the throat and the third eye. And so it's kind of a symbiotic relationship there. Third eye also works with the crown chakra when we receive claircognizance, which is the sudden knowing, and of course, channeling. So third eye works with channeling by, as the energy is drawn in to the whole energy being, then it will translate it into words and imagery and other ways that it can be a pattern that is recognizable, a story. And what's really cool about it is that it just can take over when it comes to channeling. The entity or energy or collective of energies or frequency that one is channeling will take over that center, and then we'll create it in the language that that center is trained in. So that's why, by the way, if you're wondering, if you've ever thought about it, like, why don't people channel foreign languages? Well, it's because the third eye is trained in certain patterns by the physical being and in cooperation with the physical being. And if we were to run energies that were too foreign to us, it basically would fry our neurology and fry our nervous system. So it works with what we are and what we have, the energies do. And so this is why we want to have a relationship with the third eye chakra. Having a more magical relationship with your third eye chakra can reveal to you so many things. Your purposeful life path, which is that story, a positive, affirmative story that you would like to tell about this incarnation and this life, will help to reveal to you your spirit guides, your past loved ones, and it can, and as I said, it can magnetize to you the information that would be channeled, whether it is from an entity, a collective, or from universal energies. And basically, if you're channeling things, then you're going to have an easier and just a much more fun life. So let's get into some of those details about third eye chakra. Let me say to you that if this is your first time working with your energy centers, and we really want to be working from the root up. It's really recommended we go from root up. And if you want to do that, you can check out my other videos in this series, starting with the root chakra. And I want to tell you that they are all extremely magical. Going from root to sacral, solar plexus, heart, and then throat, and then third eye. That is ideal. The links are in the description, because you remember, there is no rush. There's no rush in manifesting. There's no rush in opening up. And if you're feeling anxious to open your third eye or to work with a certain energy or to manifest, then that's actually ungrounded energy. And so that's why we need to be grounded. We start with the root chakra. And it's actually an energy of lack if we're working that way. So we will manifest more lack. We would manifest more anxiety and more feeling non-present. And in fact, in order to magically manifest, in your magical manifestation process, you have to be grounded in order to materialize. Manifestation is making something that is energetic into material. And the most material energy center we have is the root chakra, and then it is all organized in a perfect and divine manner. So take your time, and as a matter of fact, we are working in the eternal now anyway. So the unfolding is always in process when we are working with spirit. Also, all intentional, magical manifestation practicing, it's all done from an altered state. That's like a meditative state or a self-hypnotic state. So when you're going to start your very, very, very first step, for some of you, it actually may be spending a couple of weeks training your energy centers to be able to shift into that altered state when you decide that it is so. So usually a couple of weeks continuous practice is enough to be able to get that shifting in alignment for you, to be able to have the state altered. But everything is done from the altered and high vibrational state, not from the analytical, overthinking, logical state. That is actually not the right state. Altered state. So with the meditation practice, you will be able to be in complete management. And then the continued consciousness practice will be something that we continue to do. And it's super fun. And it is the spiritual life. And so here we go. How to magically partner with your third eye. Tip number 1, say yes to your imagery. Essentially, you want to raise your vibratory opinion of your own capacity to image. Image is not typically used as a verb, but I'm using it as a verb here because some people, when they believe they can't visualize, then they have this, I can't visualize thing. So if you are one who thinks that you can't visualize, then shift that to image, because honestly, imagery and the imagine, and also there's also a stigma for some of us with imagining, because we think imagination or imagining means fake, making something up. And in fact, we are using the imaginal tools with the third eye. Now, imagery and imaging is it's not limited to seeing pictures in the mind. That is a part of it, but it's also the clairaudience, which is the hearing in the mind's ear, and it's also the sudden knowing. It's also clairsentience. And the third eye, even though it's way up here, and clairsentience comes in around in this area, they work together just like all of the systems of the body do, because the gut is the second brain. So this is seated up here in this brain, and the second brain is working with it, and it's all coalescing together. So clairsentience will be sent up to the third eye for an imaging to happen. I want to make sure that we put imaging and visualization in the right box. How we do that is to say yes to how you image. Raise that vibration about it. So basically, you are the master of your energy perception. You are the master of your energy perception. It bears repeating. So I did it. You can feel anything toward you, and you can control your mental energy or your thoughts. It seems like we can't. I agree. These thoughts get away from us, and sometimes we're running these scripts unconsciously. But in fact, when you notice it, you can change that thought, can't you? Can't you start thinking about your adorable little kitty? Couldn't you start thinking about something fun, or that movie, or the whatever? You can shift your energy, and you can change what you are producing and what you're taking in. That is what you need to be on your own team about. Saying yes to your imagery and your capacity to image. So I really want us all to drop I can't visualize, because that's not what is important. You can and you must image. How do I know that? Because there's no living human being who doesn't image. Why? Because we all dream. And how do I know that we all dream, even if you don't remember your dreams? Is because dreams are actually more important than sleep. There have been studies done on this. If you have dreamless sleep, then you don't get as restful of sleep. The dream portion of it is actually more important than the quantity of being unconscious in sleep. Dreaming is imaging, and everyone who lives must dream, and everyone who is dreaming must image. So we have to accept where we are and how we do it in order for it to continue. In order for us to be on our own, positive pattern seeking and calling in the story and the envisioning that we choose. That's what we need to do. So we're raising our vibration about how we image. We need to toss out the thought, it's just your imagination. This is a script that many of us heard as children, or perhaps at some other time of our life, and it was used as a way to admonish us and say the thing that you are experiencing is untrue. So let's check that out, because your imagination is your tool for spirit to engage with you. The imaginal plane is the place where spirit is communing with you. And you're in the imaginal plane all the time. Sometimes we're in that imaginal plane in the negative sense. We're up there in the imaginal plane unconsciously, and we're all stressed and we're worried and we're imagining all the bad things that are happening. See, we know how to use our imagining tools, but we want to raise our vibration about it and be on the positive and affirmative side with ourselves about it. So what that comes down to is when you say, I can't see anything, I can't see that, then it is so, because you are the master of your image machine. So when you have chosen to say to the identity of I don't see it or I can't see it, then that is what you are calling in. Rather, assume and affirm that you are seeing or sensing, if that's easier for you to be in the positive state about it, sensing what it is that you are calling in. Allow it, and then the more subtle energies can be better acquainted to you. So if you are positively feeling toward you an engagement with a spirit guide, and then you say, and you're there for a moment and you go, I don't see anything. Well, and so it is. Rather, assume that you are experiencing your spirit guide. And maybe the spirit guide is there as a void, as a nothingness. Be excited, be happy, be an allowance of that, and then wonder, what does this nothingness feel like? What would this nothingness look like if it had a color or a texture? Just be curious about it. And again, if we are in the altered state, the high vibrational altered state, then that will naturally happen. If we're in a negating state, then we are probably not induced into the positive altered spiritual state, and we may need to take ourselves into meditation a little deeper, perhaps with a positive guide track. So we want to affirm it because the subtler energies are what we are working in when we're working with spiritual envisioning. It is more subtle than the overt looking at a TV screen or looking at a human being who is immaterial. It is much more subtle. It is a finer energy. And so we have to be in the more subtle affirmation, finer seeking in order for that to be made known to us. Now, I said to check out the "it's just your imagination" phrase, and do please. But I want to also just acknowledge that there is a difference between fear-based fantasy and lack fantasy even, and actually co-creating with spirit. So if we're in a positive affirmative state and we're in allowance, then the imagery that we are experiencing, we're not judging it. And so we don't need to say, is this real or is this clairvoyance? Is it just my imagination? We need to go deeper then, and we need to raise the vibration. When we're able to just raise the vibration, stay in the positive and affirming state, then we will have evidences that it is co-creating with spirit. So stay in that sweet spot for longer in order for this to manifest for you. So what you want to have is a healthy diet of surrendering to the process and having responsibility from a high vibrational positive state, and then this will serve our magical intentions. This whole step here, this tip of being in the affirmative space with your imaging process and affirming the imagery that you receive. This is the raising of the vibration of the mind and emotion connection. I have an affirmation for you. Well, it's more than an affirmation. It's actually how I start one of my magical spells. I start my magical spell with this and I use it as a refrain. And then sometimes I do just use it throughout the day as a mantra or an affirmation just to reset. But this is a great stimulant for the third eye and raising the vibration in that positive sense. And it goes as such. My vision is bright. My life is so light, full of surprise. So open my eyes. My vision is bright. My life is so light, full of surprise. So open my eyes. My vision is bright. My life is so light, full of surprise. So open my eyes. Write that down if you like. Say it a few times. Say it as you are working in your meditative state and just feel into what each of those lines mean to you. To me, I love a life of surprise, and I love working with spirit to receive surprise. Well, after all, I am a reflector. My human design is reflector, and my life signature is surprise. Okay, tip number 2, to magically partner with your third eye. Physical practices. Oh, boo. Now, physical practices, this really will help us to decalcify that pineal gland, which is the physical manifestation of the third eye. What this does mean is, yes, diet and exercise, but honestly, mostly it means to remove the highly toxic things from your diet and from your physical movement or lack thereof. It can mean different things for everyone. Honestly, it does. This is not a program about diet. It does that. Everybody has their own blueprint for where their boundaries are for well-being as it comes to diet. However, there are some things with, so far as diet is concerned, that are so toxic that they are just as much calamity for any person. So a few of those, we all know them. But I'm going to tell you when the top of the list, honestly, is soda, like Coke, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, those kinds of sodas that have the high fructose corn syrup in it, probably have caffeine, have the weird caramel coloring. I know if you pour Diet Coke on an engine, it will like clean it. Oh my God, what is that doing to the insides then? So soda is particularly engineered in a way that wreaks a lot of havoc, and it usually creates a strong addiction. So I'm just going to say that. Of course, there's genetically modified organisms, those types of foods. That's most of our wheat. It's most of our corn. Yes, that's why there's a gluten intolerance that's off the charts now. It's because the wheat is different than it used to be, in addition to the fact that anthropologically, we're not really that well aligned with that, with consuming grains, because we haven't been consuming them that long in the body. And the body evolves much slower than society, and much slower than our emotional and mental bodies. So anyway, we have the GMO foods, we have the sodas, of course we have sugar, we also have just the highly processed foods and anything that was created in a manner or a context that is very toxic or disintegrating, meaning it is an unintegrated, unecological process, something that is contrary to ecosystem and contrary to unity. Now, that could be a lot of things, but start with those those high markers, and especially the ones that may have some addiction, because those are working counterproductively with you. Next on the list, after movement, exercise, decalcifying that pineal gland, we have sleep. So I'm saying we got to move more. We also got to sleep more, y'all. Sleep is so important. It is underrated in our modern society. If you are not getting 8 hours, I know that seems crazy, right? Most people with their schedules, they can't get 8 hours, but truly adults need 8 hours of sleep. If you're not getting between 7 and 9 hours of sleep, then let's set the intention to shift the lifestyle. And we can just start with the intention. I know if we start by looking at the conditions, we say, well, I have to take my kid to school and I have to do this and I have that, and that. We don't start with the conditions, we start with the unconditional. And we start to love ourselves into that possibility simply by putting some more meditation time in there. And maybe if you cut out some sodas, somehow you'll be able to sleep better. I don't know. Obviously, not everyone who's watching this is drinking soda, but I want to give us all permission to love ourselves into the place to improve our life, including getting enough sleep. Sleep is so important, and that is going to make that third eye chakra start to work better. If by no other reason that if you're getting enough sleep, then your dreaming will be better quality. And the dreaming is the activity of the third eye, and that will flow right into the waking and the altered state practices as well. And so if we are not giving the body and the brain and the energy enough time and rest to actually properly mend itself, then the spirit can't really give us more energy to materialize with. Like if this material isn't actually functioning well, then we can't really make more. So you see how sleep and rest and exercise and diet and all of these things that we're actually feeding the energy system a good diet, and we're also using it in the right way, and then we're giving it rest. That directly relates to manifestation, and it directly relates to decalcifying the pineal gland, which is the physical manifestation of the third eye. And then we have the clarity of vision and to be able to create the story that we choose. And now we are at tip number 3, creating a magical partnership with your third eye, enhancing the magicalness of you and your third eye. And I have just a suggestion here of a visioning ritual just for fun. That's the name of it, visioning ritual for fun. So you want to maybe see spirit, you want to see energy, you want to be able to use your third eye for creating material, whether that is your physical relationships, a new job, money, cars, whatever it is, the things that actually are in the 3D material plane. We want to use our third eye for that. But then, a lot of people want to see all the cool stuff in the spiritual realms. And even if you already do see that, you want to see even more and you want to see even cooler stuff. All right. So that's what we want to do. So then let's do it. Start doing it. And what I'm suggesting is a ritual where we sit for 5 minutes a day visualizing. Now, I told you that if you can't use the word visualizing because you believe you can't visualize, well, let's start to reclaim it. And let's say that we can visualize. What we would do is we sit for 5 minutes and pick something to image or visualize. It could be a symbol. It could be a piece of fruit. It could be your favorite painting. So sit for 5 minutes, and I would say even turn on a timer on your phone so that you don't think about the time. You just give the responsibility of timekeeping to the device and sit for 5 minutes and just call it to mind. And for some, that might be just a knowing. Maybe it's coming from memory, if it's something like your favorite painting. Or maybe if you're thinking of something like an apple, that might be from memory, but it's also just that you are creating it. You are currently creating that image and you are imaging. So whatever it is, just having a knowing of the apple and then just allow its knowing to manifest to you. Call upon that image what its details are. If the apple is red, great, be with the red apple. And you can even move it to the other senses. What might the apple smell like? What is its texture? How is there a stem on it? Or what is the shape of it? All of the details about it. Just be with it for fun. Have fun imaging the apple. And if you just do that for a few days, or if you want, the next step would be to then play with the apple. If the apple's red, change it to blue or silver or something really cool like that. Have the apple actually maybe sing a song, or if it had a name, what would its name be? And allow that to just show up for you. Let it be whatever color or shape it wants to. And if it wants to change even more, continue to have fun with it. Now, some people, they might just know the color. Some other people, they might kind of sense that the apple is like a turquoise blue. How funny is that? And let it be that kind of fun. And, if you're just having a sense, or you're knowing, or it is that you are visualizing in the way that you're like, yeah, I'm visualizing, great. At any rate, however it's happening, as you are playing in this comfortable energy, you are working on your imaging tools, your imaging muscles, and it all counts. So have fun with it. Then you can start to add to this practice, continuing for it to be just for fun, but add to this just for fun ritual some intentions. So you can start calling to mind the different things that you are manifesting, and continue to stay with the energy of just for fun and changing the details of it. If it's the home, the partner, the job, the money, maybe you have a pile of money that you envision that's like the apple, and you change its color to pink. Have fun with it. What would the money's name be? What does it seem like to you? Because you know what? Here's the thing. As we are being curious and having fun with it, we are becoming a stronger magical partnership with whatever that object is, as well as the third eye. The money, the job, the partner that you are having this ritual visioning practice just for fun, it's getting to know you too. It wants to know who you are, why you're magnetizing to it. It wants to help you to raise your vibration about your relationship with it. Be in this practice. And like I say, just 5 minutes a day. And start it really simple, but just for fun. And then move it forward a little bit. If you want, then you can advance this even more. And then you can take all of this just for fun, high vibrational envisioning and imaging, and then add to it a magical spell if you're into spells. And if you want to learn about spells, I have a podcast for you where I talk all about it, link in description. Or maybe, you can add to it any of your other manifesting practices, your crystals or your mantras or anything else you want to do. Then, of course, as you complete the ritual, release it all, release all the details and conditions, and retain the fun. Retain the high vibration about it. That is magic. Working with these 3 tips will infuse more magic into your relationship with your third eye chakra, and it will increase your magical manifestation fitness. And so to recap, tip number 1 is to say yes to your imaging capacity and to raise your vibration about how you work with imagery. Tip number 2, to magically partner with your third eye, is to work on some physical practices, to clean up some toxicity in your movement, or lack thereof, to clean up some toxicity of your intake, of your food, your diet, and to also get more sleep, probably, because most of us ain't getting enough sleep. And the third tip is a magical ritual just for fun, sitting 5 minutes a day, imaging and playing with the imagery, and then eventually starting to work it into an intentional practice. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. All of the chapters are listed below, so you can skip around and see what it is that you want to see again. Or if you want to see it again, then just watch the whole thing again, all right, you guys? Also, please do like, subscribe, share, comment, and click the little bell so you get notifications and you can know when I am going to release another one of these videos. And also follow me on Instagram. That is at TriciaCarrCharm.com. I've got unique content there. And I also have the podcast, the Charmed Life Podcast, Charmed Life with Tricia Carr, full-length episodes, conversations with other magical people, and sometimes a lot of solo stuff where I'm just doing a lot of free teaching. I had the most fun with you, manifesting with you and your third eye. And until next time, thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.